Windows 3.0 is quickly emerging as the standard user interface for the PC. And while Microsoft and Apple may be arguing in court over who owns the rights to the graphical user interface, or GUI, it's generally acknowledged that it really all began here at Xerox PARC, where back in the 1970s they started working with concepts like icons, windows, and WYSIWYG. Indeed, Xerox may be finally getting its revenge as it comes out with its own network GUI product for desktop PCs called GlobalView. Today, we'll take a look at the graphical user interface, Windows 3.0. I'm Stuart Chaffee, and this is Gary Kildall. First of all, there is a little legal matter to dispose of. Apple is suing Microsoft, claiming that it stole the graphic and icon interface idea from the Macintosh. Monica Jane reports on the status of the lawsuit.
While Microsoft is basking in rave reviews of Windows 3.0, it's also battling with Apple over ownership of the graphical user interface, or GUI. The case is being fought at the San Francisco Federal Courthouse. In it, Apple claims it licensed the Mac GUI to Microsoft only for the original version of Windows 1.0. Apple claims the second version of Windows infringed on that agreement in over 180 ways. After 2 years of wrangling, those claims have now been whittled down to 10. Unresolved issues include the concept of moving an icon anywhere on the screen, having windows overlap, and being able to move a window on and off the screen.
These concerns are legitimate. The issue is whether they're copyrightable concerns. Apple believes that these features are something distinctive of the Apple Macintosh and that they are unique and original expressions of an idea embodied in the Apple Macintosh.
The idea of protecting the look and feel of a product has spawned similar cases in Silicon Valley. Apple has also sued Hewlett-Packard, and Lotus recently won a major battle when a judge ruled that paperback software infringed on Lotus 123. But Roche says the flurry of lawsuits will have a positive effect on the computer industry.
I think it encourages people to think originally, and from that standpoint, it may actually help us to have more and better and truly innovative software. It will encourage people to do something new and something creative, rather than rewarding them for doing simple copying.
It's time to take a look at Windows 3.0, and to do that we have with us the Windows Systems Engineer for Microsoft, Margaret Johnson. And also we're going to find out why Windows seems to be such a hit. We have with us Gus Venditto, Executive Editor of PC Magazine. Gary?
Gus, Windows 1, Windows 2 has had some problems in terms of acceptance. Some of those problems have been solved in Windows 3, and just what's going on with it?
Well, the acceptance has definitely increased with Windows 3. Right now, Windows is really hot. It's the top-selling program for PCs. When it was released in May, it went to the top of the charts, and it stayed there. So the problems with Windows 1 and 2 were more a matter of perfecting it, and right now, people seem to love Windows 3.
Okay, now, Margaret, you obviously know a lot about Windows 3. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure, I'd like to do that by giving a little visual display on the monitor. There's been a lot of enhancements, both visually and technically, to Windows 3. That includes proportional fonts in both the menuing and in the dialog boxes, and the use of 3D buttons. The other nice thing that people are really excited about is we got away with the MS-DOS Executive and replaced it with the 3 applications, the Program Manager for the logical grouping of applications. We also have the File Manager down here so that we can directly manipulate files. And then the third is the task list to go between the tasks. The other great feature is in the setup. Before, we had a Windows 286 and a Windows 386. That caused a lot of confusion. Now we have one version. You pop disk 1 into your A drive, you type in setup, the setup determines your configuration, goes into a Windows application. Now, once you go into Windows, you have this Windows application in which you can then reinstall drivers. Say, for example, you change your video display. You can pick a new video display. The next time you go into Windows, it's all set for you.
Now, in terms of development tools, what is provided with Windows 3 for somebody who wants to write an application, say, under Windows?
With Windows 3, you need to get the Software Developers Kit, the SDK for Windows 3, and that includes actually, well, this isn't my machine. Actually, there are a lot of tools like a dialog editor, an icon editor. We assume Microsoft C6 compilers, but there's a lot of 4GLs like Asymmetrics Toolbook, which are very powerful development environments to get into. Getting back to the Program Manager, which is installed when you install Windows, you actually get 3 groups installed for you. An important group, these 3 groups are the main, accessory, and the games group. And the main is for system configuration. To give you an idea of how you would use it, you can totally customize your desktop. Let's say, for example, we want to change the color. We can do it from default colors, or we could get very bold and just
Mess it up on your own.
yeah, really. And considering that my lack of color taste is quite strong, I'll do one that I feel safe with, the ocean. I don't want to get anybody sick. And you can customize the desktop not just with colors, but also with background bitmaps. Say you have a company logo. Well, we're in San Francisco, so I'm a big Niner fan, so I'll put back my Niner logo for the game tomorrow. And
you're going to work against that background.
yeah. So all Sunday, I can just keep saying, you know, go Joe.
Okay.
Do the big one.
Margaret, also, what are the system requirements? What do you assume as far as graphics device, for example?
Good question. Right now, Windows has 3 modes. We have the real mode, the standard mode, and the enhanced mode. In setup, it's determined what type, from your machine requirements, you would have. The real mode is for downward compatibility with 2.x. It will run applications that aren't Windows 3 ready. It is also for machines with less than 1 megabytes of memory. The standard mode uses the protected environment of the 2 and 386 for 1 megabyte and greater machines. And the enhanced mode, the 386 enhanced mode, will use the virtual memory management of the 386 to virtualize the memory for more memory, and also for the standard DOS applications can run in the virtual 86 mode.
So when you're talking about Windows 3 as the executive in this case, you're not really running MS-DOS underneath it then, huh? I mean, it runs in a special area, as a special task, rather than being the executive.
Right, we're trying to make it more logical as you use your desktop with Windows 3.
Margaret, briefly, I want you to show me the dynamic data exchange feature of this.
That's a good point. A very powerful feature of Windows 3 that we want to get across is the inter-process communications. You saw it first with cut, copy, and paste. It's followed with in the Windows environment with the dynamic data exchange, or DDE. In 2.x, you could use it, but it wasn't all that easy, and you couldn't use a lot of data. Now with Windows 3 memory restrictions going away, you can connect the dots between the applications with dynamic
show us
data.
How you do that.
Okay, so if I change the number of Joes, the next month he has 10,000 units, all documents associated with that will automatically be updated. You can see this being the start of a powerful executive information system.
Sure. Gus, I want to turn to you for a second. What do you see developer support for Windows 3.0? Is that changing too in terms of you said user acceptance has changed? Right?
Yeah, there have been a lot of companies been working on Windows in the last year. Windows has become a great forum for small companies to get a leg in the market. What has been a source of controversy is that some of the large software publishers, Software Publishing, Lotus, they were waiting for OS2, and they've been passing up Windows, but I think they're going to take a second look, and they're kind of stepping back and getting their programmers doing Windows programming instead of the OS2 programming that had been the top priority.
Do you see quite a few applications then coming up under Windows at this point?
There have been a flood of them coming out, and that's partly why it's been so successful, because in the earlier versions of Windows, there was nothing really to run under Windows. It took a long time. PageMaker came out. Now with the Windows 3.0, everybody's upgraded. Everybody is coming out with a lot of new utilities. Programs that were running under different platforms are coming to Windows. Ventura Publisher is coming to Windows. And next year we'll have WordPerfect and Lotus 1-2-3, and that's going to really solidify it as being a major, it's really the center of the PC right now.
All right, Gus, Margaret, thank you very much. So you don't necessarily need a Macintosh to get a nice friendly graphics interface, but a Mac does come bundled with HyperCard. Well, Windows 3.0 comes bundled with something called Toolbook. And here to tell us about it is Glenn Morrissey of Asymmetrics. Also with us here from Microsoft is Kathy Harris, who's going to show us a desktop presentation graphics program that uses Windows. Gary?
Glenn, it's obvious that the acceptance of any kind of a user interface is really dependent on how many application programs are out there. When we were talking to Margaret earlier, she mentioned Toolbook as one of those construction sets for programmers. Tell us a little bit about the approach that Toolbook takes.
Well, Toolbook is a software construction set for the Windows platform, and we like to say that it's as easy as using a draw package to create a Windows 3 application.
You know, when you're talking about creating an application, are you talking about the front end to the application, or you're talking about generating a machine, or say source code for the application?
Well, what Toolbook is a blank sheet when you first open it up. And what you can generate is a front end to a database. You can generate its own application. We come with flat file database capabilities. You can create your own full-featured database with Toolbook. So it can be used as front ends.
But it's still a case that a
prototyping.
programmer goes in there and fills out the code, right?
That's right. We have our own scripting language called OpenScript. I can draw a piece of the program. This is a button that you could use for navigation. I can give this button a script, and that is a program in Toolbook. Now, I could draw the entire application. That would take quite a few minutes, and we don't have the time right now. Let me show you what I've done to give you a quick overview of running a Toolbook application, how you would create such a thing as a front end to, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to import some ASCII text.
Okay.
This is being imported into Toolbook. Toolbook is automatically creating record fields, which are database fields. Here they are in the default format here. And what I will do is pull out some clip art and some intelligent objects. These objects have scripts, and they have been pre-created to aid in this demonstration. I will paste them onto the background here. And here we have the objects. What I have here is the layout page. That's a button that I have pre-scripted to lay out what I would do in maybe about an hour and a half. I will click the button, and Toolbook will perform these activities. It's laying out the background colors, the size, shape of fields, angled lines, buttons for navigation in the upper right corner, shadowing the text. And here I have just finished the creation of a front end to a database. This could be used as both a front end and as its own flat file database. Here's one page, and I can show you that all the information in this page, here's Jonathan Morton, it all flowed to where those objects were placed.
Okay. Now, going back to the original question, would you expect that an application programmer could do the complete application in the scripting language, or would you have to drop into C or what?
Well, you can do both. The beauty about Toolbook is it takes full advantage of the Windows 3 platform. DDE, DLLs, which are dynamic link libraries. You can, if you'd like, extend Toolbook by writing routines that aren't in Toolbook, but that you'd like to have as part of your application.
Yeah, okay. Now, Glenn, you have an application that you're going to show us here, right?
Here's Daybook. This is one of the applications. This application is bundled with the runtime version of Toolbook with every version of retail version of Win3. And this is a personal information manager. It's very graphical. It was created entirely in Toolbook. Toolbook also comes with sample applications such as sample scripts so that people can start creating applications straight out of the box without having to learn the programming language.
Now, have you had any application programmers that actually come to market with products using?
We have several. Mainly what we're seeing right now is that corporations are picking the product up very fast. We also have a lot of ISVs, independent software vendors, that are creating applications. One is the Heise Group. They've created a Convert-It program, which converts HyperCard stacks into Toolbook applications.
All right, Kathy, I want to turn to you. We see one thing that we used to sort of only do on the Mac, and now we do in the Windows environment. You have another, which is really your program, PowerPoint.
Yes, with the introduction of Windows 3, Microsoft took the PowerPoint program that we had running on the Macintosh and brought it to the Windows 3 platform. What you're seeing here on the screen is...
Before you get to the landscape, are there differences? Is it the identical program? Does it work differently under Windows?
The programs work very, very similarly. The keystrokes are all the same. The only difference between the Windows product and the Macintosh product is that the Windows product, we've now added charting and outlining capabilities to the product.
Which you didn't have before.
Which we didn't have in the Macintosh product. The products also, we have a file translation capability so that people who are working in dual platform environments can share files back and forth. And absolutely everything that was brought into the presentation translates regardless of where it was created.
Okay, so now show us what it looks like under Windows.
All right. The first thing you notice about PowerPoint when you open up a file is that a file is your entire presentation. And that means that, now for instance, this is a black and white overhead presentation that I've put together. I can click through several slides and they're all in one file. My entire presentation is in one file. And that means that I can view my entire presentation by either the titles, in the title sorter where I can drag and move slides around, or I can go to the slide sorter and look at my slides visually and see them there. And again, I can move slides around very quickly and very easily. Now, another thing that you can do that's easy to do in this mode is be able to copy and paste slides between presentations. This is a product that's designed for business people, and what we find in business is that they share presentations a lot. You've maybe made some overheads that I want to use in my presentation. So let's open up that file here, and let's take these color overheads that we presented and just drag across them to select them. Go to the Edit menu, do a copy, and go to our other window here and select an insertion point where we want those to show up. And just go to the Edit menu and do a paste, and they'll come right in. And you notice when these slides come in, they're taking on the look and feel of the new presentation. If we pull up the old presentation here, you can sort of compare the way they look. They have a different format here, and they have a new format here. Well, that's because of something called the Slide Master. Every presentation has one master slide where we control all the elements of the presentation. So if you want to customize a presentation for a particular audience, say you're giving a standard presentation that you usually give, you can just make a change in one place. Let's just drag this logo and go back to your slides, and you'll see that that change has been made in every slide in your presentation just that quickly.
Kathy, let me ask you, I mean, there are other desktop presentation graphics that run on the PC before Windows and didn't need Windows. What was it about Windows that made it possible for you, made you decide to move this PowerPoint over to
Well, the whole
PC
graphical approach to PowerPoint is really unique now among the PC presentation products. Those products, don't allow you to directly manipulate things on the screen and see what you're getting. Because of the graphical user interface of Windows, now people can really control what they're doing better, and they don't have this form, fill in the form and then see what you get approach. Also, we have this multiple images per file, which allows you to have the Slide Master capabilities and be able to see your whole presentation as opposed to file per file basis.
All right, Kathy, we're out of time. I'm sorry, I know you want to tell us more and more about PowerPoint, but we've had it. So, Kathy.